Good morning and welcome to the Core Connection. I'm Mira Rubin here with you on Enlightened World Network. And today's topic is moments of despair. Even the most hopeful of us go through moments of despair, and we get to look at how we can utilize that to forward our intentions and our presence in the world. So yeah, it should be a pretty moving conversation today, I think. Yeah, so before we get started, let's take a minute or two to get present. Let's take a deep breath in through your nose and hold it. And imagine clean, crisp oxygen flooding your lungs, flowing into your bloodstream, nourishing all your cells, your organs, bringing vital life energy to your body and being. And as you exhale, exhale any tension, stress, negativity, fatigue. And now let's take another deep breath in through your nose and hold it. And this time, imagine brilliant, bright light lighting you up from the inside out, illuminating, electrifying, and energizing all your cells, your molecules, your electrons, creating a brilliant beam of light from your heart out into the world. And as you exhale, exhale any tension, any remaining stress, negativity, fatigue. And now let's press our palms together, rub your hands vigorously together. Feel the tension, the texture, the friction, and then hold your hands facing each other. Feel the buzzing. Allow all that sensation to bring you present right here, right now, into this remarkable physical form that enables you to experience life. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So, Roe v. Wade has been overturned. It's a historic moment. And I am not, just for the record, I am not pro-abortion. I am pro-choice. And to me, this ruling signals, well, it hit me really, really hard. The freedom to make choices about our own bodies and our own sovereignty over our bodies is has been a very, very, very big issue for me throughout my life. And that issue's been challenged with the pressures for vaccine compliance, and now with the right to choose. And it's interesting because those two issues somehow are on opposite sides of a political spectrum. I don't really understand that. Good morning, Rosalind. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm not looking to be political here, and I believe that we should have the right to choose what happens with our bodies, and that medical decisions are private decisions, whether it be to get vaccinated or to terminate a pregnancy. And the ramifications of this are so huge. I recently heard an interview on NPR that was really fascinating and very provocative. And it talked about a study that was validated multiple times relating to crime rates, and how there had been a plummeting crime rate, that the only correlation that the researchers were able to validate was that when women had the right to terminate a pregnancy, then 20 years later, the crime rates went down. And they, I don't know the name of the study, but it's worth looking at. But the crime rates went down remarkably. And it wasn't due to any kind of monetary statistics, but it was due to, I called it wantedness. I don't know if that's the right term, but it had to do with children being born who were wanted. So children who were wanted by their parents rather than kids who were not wanted and subsequently neglected or potentially abused, and that those children grew up in a context that led them to criminality, which makes sense. When people experience abuse, then typically they can become abusers, or there's a greater percentage of that occurrence. So, I just, we're talking about moments of despair, even in the most hopeful of us. And like I said, I don't want to make this a political conversation. But I can say that this hit me so hard. And I just see so many ramifications for the equality of women and our role in society as well. The Equal Rights Amendment hasn't been passed, people. Do you know that? How appalling is that? Under our rights, women do not have equal rights, not codified. Anyway, so what to do with these moments of despair? And I think, it's really interesting. I had a conversation yesterday with someone saying to me, your job is to be a light, is to be a bright light. So if you're in despair, get over it and, go back to being the light. And if this is something that is upsetting you, then turn away. And I think that moments of despair or exhaustion or resignation can inform us and deepen our perspective and deepen our resolve if we allow ourselves to be informed by these moments rather than defeated by them. So it's kind of like when you stumble, you fall, you skin a knee. You might have to sit there for a minute to regroup and to then brush yourself off and stand back up again and move on. And we move on with the wisdom available. Hopefully, we use these opportunities to gain wisdom that then moves us into inspired action. Good morning, Gia. Welcome. So good to have you here with us this morning. Rosalind, I think I said good morning to you. If I didn't, I so apologize. Welcome. It's always good to start the week with you. Anyway, so how do we navigate our humanness and our advocacy. Good morning, Dido. So good to have you here with us this morning. So I really appreciate you chiming in. How do we navigate our advocacy and hopefulness? How do we integrate what may seem like, well, these stumbles and falls, right? It's not how many times you fall, it's how many times you get back up. As long as you get back up one more time, then you fall, then, you know, then we're in a good place. We can use those wounds as badges of courage, right? We can use them as beacons of hope to say, hey, we're still standing. And we can be informed by those things that have maybe caused us despair and grief. We get to grieve those things. It's not appropriate to just say, okay, move on. It's appropriate to be in recognition about what's there and to use that despair to transform that despair into fuel for inspired action, you know, to use it as a transformative tool, and rather than as something that gives us an excuse to give up, right? It's kind of like, okay, we got a powerful wake-up call, and now the question is, what is available? What inspired action can we take to transform the direction that we're moving in? The erosion of rights has been happening on a monumental scale globally, and very, very largely in this country. The erosion of voting rights, the threat potentially to LGBTQI plus rights. I don't know if I quoted that properly. The rights to same-sex marriage, the rights to vote. This is big stuff. It's big stuff. And so I don't think we get to stand on the sidelines. I don't think we get to pretend that things aren't happening that are a fundamental threat to what our country stands for. Like I said, I didn't want to get political, but I'm just saying, hey, we've got to wake up. We've got to wake up and look at our role in allowing or permitting, promoting through our permission, you know? So April, good morning, April. So good to have you joining us. So April says the sticks and stones is what we've been given as building materials. Now we get to figure out what we want to build with them that's new and better, rather than using them against each other. I love that, April. That's brilliant. Yeah, sticks and stones have been the tools of destruction, what if we can use them as the tools of creation, to build something that is respectful. I don't think that there's anyone that doesn't believe that we need to cultivate respect for one another. And I think that the grief and the despair that we might feel, certainly that I have been feeling, gets to become fuel for positive action, in support of the whole, rather than creating deeper rifts and deeper opposition and deeper factions. You know, to be standing, I think there's a difference between standing for something and fighting for something. You know, just be standing for a positive future versus fighting fighting oppression. You know, it's a whole different place. It's a whole different come from. It's a whole different frequency of energy when we talk about standing for something versus fighting. Because the big thing that needs to happen is we need to, as April's suggesting, move away from sticks and stones will break my bones, you know, move away from the opposition into finding respectful connection with one another. You know, instead of being stuck in the polarizing right and wrong, to find new places to be, new ways to be with each other, and to find ways to move into life-affirming practice. So I'm really interested in your vantage points. Like how do you use these moments? And I don't know if it's a moment like that for you or not. I don't know if you feel, you know, if you're responding to this situation, our latest political situation, the way that it hit me. But I'm wondering, how have you been able to use your grief and despair to support you in your growth, to support you in your mission, to support you in becoming more of yourself and more expressed rather than shut down and resigned? You know, how have you been able to transform that despair into something that is a gift? So again, we've spoken recently quite a lot about having a framework that supports you is such a profound and important thing when these moments of derailment occur. So for me, that framework is everything is perfect, which is really hard sometimes to see. Or even if it's really hard to see sometimes. And life is happening for me and through me rather than to me. And I've had a bunch of opportunities lately to be reaffirming that consciously in my life, even when I don't understand how or why the circumstances are unfolding the way that they are. And it may be even that the challenges to that notion are occurring in order to enable us to strengthen that notion for ourselves. Who knows? But as people on a transformational path, we get to find our way back to center, whatever that takes. And that I believe we do have a obligation, responsibility, commitment, whatever, to be beacons of light. And I'm thinking that these kinds of experiences add more color to that light, add more richness to that light. That that it allows us to deepen the intensity of that light, to magnify its potency. So April says, I work out the ugly and put it into the garden and plant the negative and give it back and watch it transform into flowers, fruit, veggies, and watch the transformation draw in the bees and the butterflies. That's my current process. Wow. I love it, love it, love it. I think the earth probably is welcoming the opportunity to transform that that energy. You know, maybe for the earth, it's just energy that it's able to transform, you know, and allow it to heal you in the process. That's quite beautiful. The earth is magical in that way, isn't it? Yeah. So what else? What other kinds of processes do you guys have to allow yourself to move through these moments of darkness? You know, how do we transform to regain? I don't think denial is a beneficial thing here. You know, we talked about toxic positivity, right? Or spiritual bypassing, where we're kind of in denial of other things that are going on. I'm not talking about being an ostrich. And I don't know where that ever came from. I mean, I don't believe that ostriches actually bury their heads in the sand. I don't know if that's true. I can't imagine. Anyway, I should look that up. Maybe if you look it up, let me know. Do ostriches actually bury their heads in the sand? But I think we get to look at what is, and then look at what our interpretations are of what is. That's where the opportunity for transformation is in the interpretations of what is. And it may be, you know, like what looks like cataclysmic devastation. It may be that that's what's necessary to get us to the next place of awareness. You know, maybe it's that there needs to be so much disruption in order to get to a new phase of being. You know, radical transformation doesn't necessarily, I don't believe it happens gracefully. You know, old institutions are fighting to maintain their primacy. And so it may get even uglier before it gets better. So April says they go flat during storms so they don't get hit by lightning. We used to have An ostrich farm. Oh, wow. Wow. That's amazing. So they don't bury their heads in the, but they go flat. That's really interesting. Thank you, April. And how weird that you had an ostrich farm. And I was talking about ostriches. I don't think I've ever talked about ostriches as long as I've been doing this show. That's amazing. Wow. So anyway, uh, I think we get to be aware, be aware of what's going on in the world, be aware of our interpretations, and allow ourselves to move from our grief into, like, use the grief as a transformative tool, like the fire for the, like the flame for the blade, that helps to hone the blade and refine it. So Dido says, when in despair, the best I can do right now is to declutter and organize, trying to create a kind of readiness, I suppose, or creating more simplicity and focus. I think that's really powerful, Dido. And I think it's really a powerful metaphor also, to be clearing out the notions that no longer serve us, to be clearing out the things that no longer serve us, and to create more clarity, more focus. Yeah, it's interesting because I have a lot of stuff, and I've talked about this too, but I really like a lot of my stuff. And I don't know that until I'm ready to transform where I live, I don't know that I'm interested in getting rid of stuff. Yeah, it, like, just because I really like the things that I have. I guess there are things that I can get rid of without feeling like I'm depriving myself, but it's a balance. It's always a balance. And clarity and focus is awesome and powerful. And I think we get to cultivate that through through our intentionality, and to move from that despair. So, like, decluttering is a way that we can kind of exert our control of a situation. And I think that that's part of where the despair comes in, when we feel that we have a lack of control, when we feel that we're being acted upon instead of being creators of our destiny. And for me, the thing that shifts that is choosing to recognize everything is happening for me and through me. Life is happening for me and through me rather than to me. That I'm not a victim, that it's to my benefit, that there's a gift in all of it. And whether or not that's true, I'm not asserting that that's a fact, but it is a working hypothesis I choose to live within, and it serves me. And so that allows me to recontextualize my experience so that I move away from the draw, the gravity of victimhood, moving away from that into what is the gift, and using that to find the gift. What is the gift? Sometimes it's not real obvious, right? Sometimes that gift isn't really obvious. And that's where we come into trust. I do believe that despair can be transformed, that we can move it into awareness, that we can move it into deeper connection, and not get caught there, to experience it, to metabolize it, to move it through, to deepen our awareness, our perception, and then to get to the next place. Because we're all needed here for the light that we are. And that grief has its purpose as well. Dido says, life is happening for me and through me. Love it. I've been doing a lot of family history right now. It's not even clear often what somebody's life means, but perhaps the gift of ancestors is to give us the ever potent now. Wow, that's super powerful, Dido. So yeah, I think when we start looking at meaning, like what's the meaning of someone's life? Hi, Susan, so glad to have you here with us today. When we start looking at what's the meaning of this life, I don't know if I could even go there. Because we humans are meaning making machines, so who knows what the meaning is, but I guess we get to make our own meaning. And I really love, Dido, that you said perhaps the gift of ancestors is to give us the ever potent now. And so maybe even though we seek meaning, maybe the richest gift is in presence. Just saying. That's what we get to put our attention to more and more and more is presence. And what does that look like? Rosalind says, without breaking down or even knowing the root cause, we can turn to tools for calming our nervous system. Removing the threat, finding a calm with the body creates a space to allow for a new stable belief system in the safe setting. Then intentional triggering can help identify which seeds we want to fuel. Powerful, 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 Rosalind. And I really believe that there's value in recognizing the emotions as they arise, being present to it, so in the face of despair, what is it? What is the belief that is underlying that despair? What is the way that I'm thinking that is creating that despair? What would I have to believe in order to despair or to feel the grief? So I really believe that these emotions are not something to be avoided, but rather they're arising so that we have the opportunity to see more deeply into our own mechanics, our own point of view, our own beliefs, our own constructs, and that we then get to move beyond those through a deepened wisdom. So yes, sometimes we get so deeply entrenched in emotion that we can't see straight, and calming that is the best thing that we can do in the moment, and then maybe revisiting, as you said, Rosalind, to evaluate more deeply from a place of greater solidity. Gia says, I've been seeing it in my life every single day that life is happening for me, through me, and not to me. Yay! Because I had stayed there for years, I know I can witness. What was I really going through something, or was it in itself me? How to face it or hold space for it or overcome it. My experience taught me how to help myself. Your experience taught you how to help yourself, Gia, because you were willing to look. So good on you to be having the courage to be looking for the essence, to be going under the surface, to be bringing awareness to the situation. And when we do that from a framework of life is happening for me and through me, it provides a safer space to do that, even when things don't feel safe. So I think that was part of the foundation of my sense of grief and despair, was a powerlessness, a feeling of powerlessness, that I, despite my energy and efforts, that things hadn't changed. And then to come back to a place of self-empowerment. And yeah, I think that's the movement, from powerlessness to self-empowerment to being able to take inspired action. So I guess that's it for today. But even our grief as it arises, or our despair, is something that is there to, as a gift to us, as a way for us to be expanding and growing and transforming. And we can use it as a gift to clarify who we are to ourselves, to clarify our values, to recognize our deeper commitments, right? So that's it for this morning. I'm Mira Rubin. This is the Core Connection. And I go live here on the Enlightened World Network Facebook page and the Enlightened World Network YouTube channel each weekday morning at 9 a.m. Eastern. And I encourage you to check out the other awesome programming on Enlightened World Network and EWN One with the Earth and Enlightened World Living. And I am so grateful to each of you for your sharing, for your presence, for your commitment, for your willingness to keep carrying the light, to keep being the light, even in the face of life's challenges. And yeah, it's a privilege to be having these conversations with you. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And I hope to see you again here really, really soon. And until next time, so much